Hi friends, in this video I'm going to show you how to make these adorable sterling silver chain link earrings. This project is perfect for beginners who want to level up their skills because you'll get to practice a few new techniques like soldering individual links, refining your pick soldering method, and trying some simple sewing techniques to create clean and even shapes. As always, all the tools and materials you'll need for this project are linked in the attached tool and material PDF guide, so everything is easy to find. Alright, let's jump right in and start by making our links. To complete both earrings, we'll need to make 6 links total. We'll be using a multi-bail plier tool to wrap our wire and form each link. Choose whichever bail size you like. Smaller bails make smaller, daintier links, and larger bails will give you a chunkier, more statement look. Now, I originally wrapped all 6 links at once, but honestly, this got very tricky. Keeping that long piece of wire from bending and curving was way harder than I expected, and you'll see exactly what I mean in a moment. To make things easier, I recommend wrapping 3 links at a time, then repeating the steps for your second set of 3. It keeps everything neat and way more manageable. Alright, let me show you how to do this step by step. To create each link, we'll be wrapping our wire around the largest bail on the multi-bail plier. Start by gripping the very end of your wire tightly between the plier jaws. This first wrap sets the foundation for all the links that follow. Begin by making a quarter turn with your pliers, then another quarter turn to fully wrap the wire around that first bail. This creates your initial curve. Next, remove your pliers and reposition them about 1/2 inch down from the first curve along the parallel part of the wire. This spacing is what determines the length of your links. If you want shorter, daintier links, move the tool closer to that top curve. If you want longer links, position the tool farther down. Just be mindful of how much wire you're using. Once you place your pliers, bend and mold the wire over the same bail size you used for that first curve. Wrap the wire until it meets back up with the first curve, creating your very first full link shape. From here, you'll continue wrapping the wire around the pliers using the exact same motions. Follow the foundation of that first link to keep every wrap the same size, spacing, and curve length. This is what ensures all 6 links match perfectly. Once I wrapped about 4 links, I noticed the wire started getting a lot harder to control. It was bending in weird places, kind of getting kinked, and I ended up needing to do quite a bit of cleanup. I want you to avoid all that frustration, so I recommend stopping after you've made 3 complete links, and then moving on to the sawing process I'm about to show you. Working in small sections keeps the wire from curving and twisting on you, which helps prevent unnecessary marks and just makes everything more manageable overall. Next, we're going to use our ring clamp and jeweler's saw to cut open the links. The goal here is to make a clean, even cut across all the links so that your seams line up nicely and you don't have to do much cleanup afterward. Ideally, each cut should be smooth and flush, so your soldering step is super easy. This part can get a little tricky when you're working with a long chain of links, which is another reason I recommend doing 3 links at a time instead of all 6. It just gives you more control and helps keep everything aligned. Uneven curves in the links, wire, or kinks will affect this. Most of my links needed a little adjusting, which is totally normal, and after sawing, I'll show you how to quickly realign the seams and fix any common issues. First, place your coiled wire in the peg assist, making sure it's secure while still leaving enough metal exposed to saw through. Insert the peg into the bottom to tighten the ring clamp, then use your ring block to prop up the tool and lean it against your bench pin for stability as you saw. We'll use the end of the coil as our guide for where to saw, keeping the blade as straight and even as possible to get a clean, flush cut. Next, apply some blade butter to your saw. Align the saw blade with the end of the coil, making sure everything looks even before your first cut. The first cut can be a bit tricky, so make sure your clamp is held securely and you feel super stable. Once the blade catches, take your time and really pay attention to where your saw is cutting so it stays even. Then you'll notice it flow smoothly with consistent strokes. In my case, the bottom half of my coil cut through first since the coils were slightly uneven, so I removed that section and worked on both of them separately. The first section was pretty easy, but I'm gonna show you this second section in real time so you guys can just see me struggle a bit and just see the reality of sawing without any edits. So here you go. At this point, you should have 6 links. As you can see, some adjustments may be needed to get them nice and flush for soldering. Since these cuts were made at an angle, we do not want to file them and alter the natural curve created by the saw. Ideally, each link should snap back into place easily with a few gentle back and forth motions, just like we do with a ring joint. But if that doesn't happen, I'll show you how to fix each one when the seam isn't aligning properly, whether it's too long on one side or slightly bent. If a seam just won't align properly, we'll need to reset and resaw that link. To do this, you're going to first overlap the ends of the link so that we can recut through the parallel wire and create a fresh seam. Use your tool to gently mold the wires over each other, holding the piece securely with your hand and pressing it into the tool until the wire shifts and forms together. Repeat this same process on the other side. Note, this will make your links just a little smaller, which is perfectly fine. Next, we'll saw through the top wire of the link using the shorter bottom wire as a guide for your cut. Take your time and cut carefully along the seam so that the edges are clean. Once done, your link should just snap back into place easily with a few gentle back and forth motions. Repeat this with all the uneven links and then we are ready to solder. Now it's time to solder our links together. Start by arranging your links in order you want them to hang. I like to lay them out side by side so both earrings end up uniform. We'll begin by soldering the first link closed. Place your link on the soldering board and coat the joint in Flux. Take a small piece of hard solder and position it right underneath the seam. Use your torch to heat the piece evenly, then focus the flame on the joint until the solder flows smoothly and fills the seam. Once it's fully soldered, quench the piece in water and then place it in the pickle pot to clean it up. Next, we're going to solder the remaining links onto the base link and then we'll attach the earring post. Start by gently opening your middle link just enough to slip it into the base link. You only want to open it slightly, keeping the opening small because it makes it much easier for the seam to snap back into place. Slide it onto the base link and then close it carefully with your fingers until the joint aligns and clicks back together. Repeat the same process with your final link. Once all 3 links are connected, check each joint to make sure everything is nice and flush. Place the already soldered base link into the third hand. Position the seams of the last 2 links so that they're both facing the same direction and easy to access. This will make it simple to place your solder with your pick before heating. Next, flux the entire piece again. For the second link, we'll use medium solder so it flows quicker than the hard solder we used on the base link. This prevents the solder on the first joint from remelting. We'll be using the solder pick method for this part. Heat the small chip of the solder until it melts into a tiny ball, then slightly pull the heat away. Touch your solder pick to the molten ball and hold it there until it cools just enough to stick to the end of the pick. Place the solder ball on top of the joint, then reheat both the joint and the solder. As soon as the solder softens, quickly but carefully press it onto the seam until it flows off the pick and into the joint. Repeat the same steps with your final link, but this time use easy solder. Since we've already soldered 2 joints, easy solder melts the fastest and helps ensure you don't overheat the entire piece or accidentally reflow the solder from earlier joints. Check the links, and if everything looks good, pop it in the pickle pot. Next, we're going to solder on our earring post using easy solder. Start by taking your top link, the base link, and gently flattening it on your steel block with the hammer. This gives you a nice even surface for attaching the post. Place the piece in your third hand and position the post so it rests perfectly against the flattened area. This part can be a little tricky, so take your time. Alignment is key. Make sure the post is sitting straight and centered. Place your small piece of easy solder right between the post and the link. You can also use the solder pick method here if that feels easier for you. Make sure the post and earring links are fluxed, then heat directly at the base of the post and the back of the link. As it warms up, make sure there's light, steady pressure between the two surfaces so that the solder can flow cleanly. I like to use the tip of my solder pick to gently press the post into the link until the solder flows and the post looks fully secure. Next, quench your piece in water and place it back into the pickle pot. Once it's clean, check all your link seams and the earring post to make sure the solder has fully flowed and everything is secure. If it looks good, we're ready to move on to cleaning up the piece. Now it's time to clean up our links. We have 3 solder joints we need to clean up, and since we are dealing with some hard to reach places, we're going to use our blue silicone wheel and rotary hand tool for this job. We also need to clean up our earring post as well. The goal is to blend our joints into the metal without removing too much metal or creating unwanted divot. Since we're going to be adding textured grooves into this piece, we don't have to worry so much about the joints standing out. Since we are adding some grooves anyway, the joints will be blended in by the texture. Starting with our first joint, angle your silicone wheel slightly and use the edge of the bit to gently scrape away any solder buildup. If you want to refine the inside of the links even more, you can switch to a smaller bit or even use a flat needle file for those tighter areas. Next, use the same bit to clean up the solder around the earring post. Just be mindful to focus only on the base of the post so that you don't thin or weaken it. Repeat this process for all your joints until you're happy with how everything looks. Now we're going to add texture to the surface of our links. Rest each link on your steel block and use the smaller end of your jeweler's hammer to create light textured grooves on both the front and back. Make sure to rotate the link so you texture all sides. Just be careful not to hit your earring post. Once the texture is added, use the same multi-bale pliers we used at the beginning to reshape each link. This helps bring back that smooth, rounded curvature and make all the links look clean and consistent. Lastly, you're going to want to use flat nose pliers to slightly twist the post by the base to harden the post so that it's nice and sturdy. Repeat this entire process for your second earring. For polishing, we're keeping it super simple. Just pop your earring into the tumbler. We're skipping tripoli here because we don't want to remove the textured divots we just added. The surface area is also so small, so a 30-minute tumbler will literally give you such a beautiful shine. Have fun practicing these slightly trickier skills, and I will see you in the next video.